Welcome back in my new flat. No matter what I do, I seem to be unable to figure out how to make backgrounds look nice. Like, my room's actually really nice, but it just looks so like dead. It might also be because it's just a really grey, cloudy day, but whatever. This video is uncomfortable for me to make because I'm gonna be talking about my skin and like how glowy it is. It makes me feel like a douche. But do you know what's crazy is that I know I have clear skin and I know my skin is glowy, but if I could plot a graph with like time going this way and number of compliments on my skin going this way, the increase in compliments over the last few years on my skin has just been crazy. And like, I'm not even saying that to brag, because this video is going to be about the things that I think make the biggest difference that have made my skin go from, like, don't get me wrong, like, I know I had clogged pores, I've never had chronic acne, I've never had super inflamed acne for long periods of time, did have a lot of clogged pores, then I got rid of those clogged pores and then my skin started to glow, but then over the last few years it's just started to be more and more glowy, and it honestly has surprised me. And I think because I am my own biggest critic, I don't know if you can tell, maybe you relate to that, but because I'm my own biggest critic, yes, of course, I see my skin is clear and I'm happy with my skin, but it always really surprises me. And if I look back how many compliments I get on my skin and the type of compliments I get on my skin, it's just increased exponentially in the last few years. And I have done things differently, but I wouldn't say I've been chasing that glow. I think I was happy with the glow I had. Then the changes that I've made have just increased it again exponentially. So I'm just going to break it down in this video, the 5 reasons why I think my skin has become glowier and what I think gives it that reflective quality that people comment on a lot. I had someone over to help clean my bathroom because there was a lot of paint all over it because it had been painted and I didn't know how to get the paint off. That person was like saying a lot of stuff to me about my skin. Been on an airplane recently twice. People stop me in the street. I sound like a douche, but I'm just saying, like, the evidence, it's crazy to me. Like, I've never had this many compliments, and all I really want is for people to see my skincare content and be able to action the information to get results themselves. That's what I want from my content. So I'm going to break it down into 5 things. The first thing, I'm not going to spend too long on this because if you've ever seen me before, you know I use a retinoid. What retinoid exactly? I actually don't think it's the type of retinoid. To a degree, I think it is kind of the type of retinoid, but I think it's more about the time frame that I've used the retinoids in. I've actually just done a video where I compared loads of retinaldehydes because I started using a 0.1% retinaldehyde in 2020 to unclog all my pores. If you haven't seen this photo before, that's surprising because everyone and their mum has seen it. This is what my skin used to look like in 2020. I used a moisturizer, it clogged every single one of my pores. That's actually a lot of what my content is about because I have incredibly clog prone skin. I could use a moisturizer tomorrow for 2 weeks. My skin would look like that in 2 weeks. Like, my skin, it just clogs so quickly and easily by so many products. But that's what happened in 2020. Then I started using a 0.1% retinaldehyde, which was similar to any of these. The one I used was actually Discontinued, which is why I talk about the alternatives. I started using that a couple of years, then that got discontinued, so I started using Retinoid. Then I got Behavioural dermatitis, then I had to take a couple months off, and now I use Differin, which is a prescription retinoid. It's also known as adapalene. Adapalene is the active ingredient. I absolutely do think retinoids are probably 80% of my results, but if retinoids are 80% of the results, the rest of the percent, if we're talking about retinoids, is the time. I think retinoids, I mean, it's not just my opinion, this has been proven in studies, like, the results compound over time. So people will use a retinoid for a year and they'll say to me, I've been using a retinoid for a year, my skin's improved, but it doesn't look like yours. If you could see my skin after a year of using a retinoid, it looked very different than how it looks now. Couple that with the fact that I've used the retinoid for coming up to 6 years without any breaks, mostly any breaks other than like 1 month or 2 months. That is the effect of the retinoid compounding. And I think the reason that my skin kind of reflects the light, which to be honest, some people don't even like the way that looks, but they think that I'm doing that on purpose. I'm not doing that on purpose. That's just a side effect of the routine. Do you see what I mean? Like, I've not been aiming for that. Sometimes I do look sweaty and I'm like, oh, maybe I could do with some powder, but that hasn't been my goal. That's just been a byproduct. I think because the retinoid, coupled with the other things that I'm going to talk about, it smooths the skin surface to the point where after 6 years, there's just no texture at all. And I think that's why it's so reflective. Does that make sense? Because it's so smooth, light can bounce off it. I use my retinoid 3 times a week. I have used it in different ways. I have used it like 3 nights on, 1 night off, 2 nights on, 1 night off with adapalene right now. And the fact that I have perioral dermatitis, I have to find a way to balance it. And I'm doing 1 night on, 1 night off. And my skin loves it. I've been doing it for ages and I've not been tempted to change it because I'm not seeing any adverse effects that I don't want. So I'm happy doing 1 night on, 1 night off, which leads me to the second thing that I've added in the last, I want to say 3 years. Yeah, 3 years because I started this in 2023, which is azelaic acid. Let me get it for you. This is the azelaic acid that I use. It's called Finacea. It's prescription, although on my blog I did write an article about how you can get it. Like, not, it's still prescription, but you have to request it from a pharmacy or your GP. And honestly, also, if you don't want the prescription one, you can get 15 or 20% azelaic acid over the counter. I think Theramid do one, Thinky List does a 10%, Dermatica do 15 and 20%. There's quite a lot now, so you don't have to get this one. This one, I didn't even add this in for my skin texture. I actually didn't even want to add this in because dermatologist recommended it to me. Shout out to Dr. Sam when I got perioral dermatitis, because azelaic acid is a treatment for an overactive skin immune response, which is what perioral dermatitis is. Azelaic acid is anti-inflammatory, it calms everything down. It's also a tyrosinase inhibitor, so it inhibits pigmentation, which means that it's also a treatment for melasma or hyperpigmentation in general. So I apply that everywhere you can see here, but I don't apply it to my forehead because it gives me little bumps on my forehead. I think that is a major reason my skin has, like I said, just increased in like reflectiveness in the last few years. Not that it was inflamed before, obviously only my perioral dermatitis around my mouth region was, but because I use it everywhere, it has inhibited pigmentation to the max. I didn't have any pigmentation then. I certainly don't have any now. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like any remaining pigmentation has been squashed by it. It also smooths out skin texture, not as well as a retinoid, so don't use it. I wouldn't use it if you have major clogs. I would use it on top of a retinoid, but I don't think they are interchangeable. I think a lot of people see them as interchangeable for skin texture. I don't think they are. I think azelaic acid is a refiner, like it refines the skin's texture, pigmentation, evens out the skin tone, but it's not powerful enough on its own to just use it as an acne treatment, in my opinion. So using azelaic acid I think has helped massively. And also, side note, I'll insert some pictures if I can find them. It's the one thing I recommend. I recommend a lot of things to my friends on WhatsApp because I do get a lot of messages about skin, which is totally fine. But I can think of 3 people who I've recommended Finacea to for different things, and all of them, one of them saw results the next day just because her skin became less inflamed. I think I even put pictures of that in. The other person said it gave her a whole new face in like 3 months. And the other person messaged me and I think they were like, this is my sister-in-law, and she was like, whoa, I can really see why you use this. Everyone loves it. And to be honest, I'm just a tag along because my dermatologist put me on that and kind of said the same thing, and I just like didn't really believe her. And then I ate my words. Azelaic acid also, I just think it's a win-win for women, especially for men too, but women especially, because I just think as you get older, you're going to see more and more sun damage. Even if you've protected yourself, there will be signs of sun damage, you know, eventually. You're going to prevent sun damage even more. Say you get pregnant, or you have some kind of hormonal disorder or an autoimmune disorder or something that messes with your hormones, you're going to already be using a tyrosinase inhibitor. So as women get older, or as women get pregnant, they tend to notice like pigmentation issues because hormones and pigmentation have a very interesting relationship, and pregnancy can trigger hyperpigmentation and melasma in people. I mean, this isn't scientifically backed in the way that I'm laying it out, but I just think that using it already is already going to allow you to prevent it from happening either at all or as badly as it was going to happen. And also you can use it when you're pregnant. So I just think, like, why not use it? The third one, it's really obvious, but it's sunscreen and staying out of the sun. I used to have a lot of freckles, which by the way, I really liked. Like, I really wish that I could still have those freckles. I didn't intend on getting rid of them. In fact, I used to love to go out in the sun and make them more noticeable, which is ironic because when I was a child and a teenager, I used to hate them, but like, who didn't? But now, I did actually wear sunscreen since I was around, I want to say like 16 to my early 20s I wore sunscreen. I just don't think I wore enough of it, and it was a moisturizer in a sunscreen, so I definitely wasn't wearing enough of that, but I was wearing sunscreen. So all that's happened in the last like 5, 6, 7 years is I've started wearing a dedicated sunscreen, and I've started wearing enough of it, and I've started not putting my face in the sun. So if I'm on holiday, I'm wearing a hat and I'm wearing sunglasses, and if we're sitting at a table on like a beach club or something, I will always volunteer to have my back in the sun, like so that I'm not, the sun's like coming from behind, my face will never be in the sun. If I'm sunbathing, which I don't really do because I've made a couple of videos that went viral about this and people were like, why are you still trying to get a tan? And I wish that I hadn't made those videos because it made me look like I was trying to get a tan, but I get a spray tan when I go on holiday. So people saw my body and they were like, oh, how do you have this like crazy tan? And I'm like, it's not real. But essentially, like, yeah, I might be on a sun lounger for like half an hour. My face will always be in the shade. I will never ever sit with my face in the sun pretty much ever again. Maybe in the winter in London, I might sit at a cafe and the sun's on the side of my face and it's nice, like it feels nice. And I know that not a lot's happening there, but you'll never catch me trying to tan my face. Also, as I get older, I just can't tan anyway. I think actually being pale saves me a lot, because if I could naturally tan, I'd really like to. But the older I've gotten and the less I tan, the less easily I tan. Also, I have freckles all over my body. So the pigment like clumps together into freckles. So I'll get freckles on my legs and they get darker, but the skin in between has virtually no pigment. So there's literally no point. I just get a spray tan and I love my spray tans. Back to the subject matter. I think that has made a massive difference, because when I look back at myself when I was like 22, 23, yes, I had freckles, but I also had sun damage, a little bit of sun damage, not a lot. And I think there's always people who are like, they're trying to achieve this glass skin, which, don't get me wrong, the concept of glass skin is definitely unachievable and like not something we should aim for. But if you are every summer going on holiday and like tanning your face, those goals are incompatible. And to think that like just because it's summer and you're going to go back to winter that you can like reverse all of that, you can't. Though I feel like you do have to give that up. That's why I'm creating a face tan. The third thing, this is a hard one because I know lots of people will be like pained by it, but not skin picking. I have this one picture in my camera roll which I can think of. I used to have loads more, but I don't skin pick at all anymore. But the amount of times I have given myself a big scar to recover from because I've picked at a spot is just like, it gives me the heebie-jeebies to think about it, because it's like how I feel a smoker must feel thinking about cigarettes when they've given them up. Like, it used to be something that I would do every day after work or after school. I'd come home and I'd like pick at my face. And I know a lot of people do that, but it's just incompatible with the skin goal that you're trying to achieve. This is how I see skin picking. I used to think that when I had a pimple or a clogged pore, if I removed it myself, that would be me beating the spot to it. That would be me preempting the spot, intercepting, getting rid of that spot before it turns into a spot, therefore saving myself from having a spot and having the scarring. That was literally just the mindset of an addict who was rationalizing the behavior they want to do in a way that suits them. Like, I was just creating a narrative that suited what I wanted to do. If you think about it rationally, you have a pretty high chance of giving yourself another scar aside from the pimple to recover from. You're already like defeating the purpose of what you're telling yourself you were doing if you go for that pimple. A lot of the time I get pimples now or clogged pores, and I notice how if I just do nothing, it doesn't even turn into anything. Those times I would 99% of the time be going for that clogged pore or that pimple that wouldn't even turn into anything. I guess what I'm trying to say is, by picking at the pimple or the clog or whatever it is, you're guaranteeing to have a mark on your face. And over a month, that builds up to a lot of marks. And it also impacts the way you think about your skin, because if you are picking at your skin, you're almost telling yourself, because you're giving yourself lots of marks to recover from, you're almost telling yourself that you have really bad skin, and you actually don't. You're actually doing that yourself. Like, you're actually giving yourself the problems. And you might be surprised how many times those things you were going to pick at turn into nothing. Like, 9 times out of 10 were going to make your skin look worse. It's very psychological, it's very interesting, but that is definitely something that I've just completely given up. Like, if I get a pimple, I do kind of care, but like, I just leave it. And yes, sometimes it leaves a mark, but at least I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to give myself a mark by picking at it. Does that make sense? Because most of the time, if you leave it, what you get is not as bad as if you picked at it, is what I'm trying to say. And the final point. Again, this is not controversial, but I've left it to the end because I think it is important, but I think there are ways around it that you don't have to do it. It's double cleansing. So first of all, just going back to what I said about the retinoid smoothing out the skin. Skin can't be reflective if it's very bumpy, as illustrated by this picture, right? Like, I didn't have any active inflamed acne lesions, but my skin is not reflecting the light because the surface is so bumpy. So double cleansing, the reason I think it's so pivotal for my skin at least, is because the oil cleanser attracts oil in the form of sunscreen, makeup, sebum within the skin, and it cleans the skin like once, but it doesn't remove its own residue, and you need to then rinse away everything that's left on the skin that you've kind of like roughed up by massaging it into your face. So you do with the oil cleanser, and then you get the water-based cleanser, which carries away the residue of the oil-based cleanser and anything else left on the skin. This is why I don't think micellar water work, because it's kind of like pushing dirt around your face. Like, yeah, a lot of it's coming off on the cotton pad, but a lot of it's still on your face, you know? For me, micellar water is like wiping down the kitchen side with a dry cloth. You're just kind of like pushing the dirt around. I think with oil cleansers as well, like a lot of people are scared of them, but personally I think that's because if you look at a lot of oil cleansers, they are made of the same base ingredients. One of them that I can think of off the top of my head is ethylic or palmitate. That's a very common thing to make a cleansing balm or an oil cleanser out of. Unfortunately, I think that breaks out a lot of people. And if you look at oil cleansers, all of the popular oil cleansers are typically made out of one of three main ingredients or a mix of all three of them. And that's why I think they break out a lot of people. And that's why I think if you try 5 oil cleansers and you like either go on TikTok to find them or you go on Google, you're gonna find the 5 popular ones. And if you have clog prone skin, those 5 are likely gonna be made of the 3 ingredients that I mentioned. And those are the problem. In my opinion, this is my theory on oil cleansers. So I think how to get around that problem is you find oil cleansers made of other things, and that's why I use the Jordan Samuel After Show Treatment Cleanser for sensitive skin, or before that I used the ordinary squalane cleanser. Both of those, and the ones that I recommend on my blog, both of those and all of the ones I recommend on my blog, they are made of different things. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed going to like them or get along with them, but they are, it's like if you go onto Google and you find the 5 most popular oil cleansers and you try them all, but they're all fundamentally made of orange juice and you don't like orange juice, you're not going to like any of them. The ones that I've found are the exception to the rule. They're made of different things. They're not made of orange juice. Does that make sense? But people don't realise that because they aren't aware. That's my theory on oil cleansers. But I think, and I tried this on holiday, because I would go from sunbathing in the day to having to have a clean face. Sorry, sunbathing. I just mean like talking around the pool. Do you know what I mean? Like that might have been completely shaded all day, but just like doing the day activity with the sunscreen, then wanting to cleanse my face, wear makeup and go out. I tried a different routine where I would only use a water-based cleanser and then dry my face and moisturize it and then put my sunscreen on so that I didn't have to double cleanse twice. That just did not clean my skin. And I used the Dr. Sam's Flawless cleanser and I used that on my sunscreen to get rid of the first layer of sunscreen. I think I also tried it with a micellar water and then the Dr. Sam's Flawless cleanser and then my moisturizer. In theory, my skin should have been clean, right? It just wasn't. Like in theory, the micellar water and then the water-based cleanser should have completely cleansed my face. I just can tell that it wasn't because I was putting makeup on and I could feel that my skin wasn't clean. So it's not even a theory at this point. Like I know some people find oil cleansing really problematic for their skin, but for me, my suggestion would be to try some of the ones that I've recommended, just not out of like monetary gain, but just because they are made of different things. I strongly recommend the ordinary squalane cleanser, and if not, the Jordan Samuel After Show Treatment Cleanser. Like they're definitely my 2 favorites. It's just they're very different price points, so buy whichever one suits you and you can get in your region. But I just think that micellar water and then the water-based cleanser, like yes, you can do that. Having tried that with a cleanser that I know I really like in the summer, it just wasn't good enough. Like I know I would break out if I kept cleansing my face like that. And actually, after the first time that I tried it and I put my makeup on, I was like, oh, this is shit. I actually just double cleansed. I ended up double cleansing twice every day. I wouldn't want to do it forever, but that's what I felt I had to do to keep my skin clean. I definitely don't recommend double cleansing twice every day, but that's what I felt I had to do because I could just feel that my skin wasn't clean the way I'd done it previously. Those are, I don't know why I keep forgetting the number, the 5 things that I think have helped my skin go from short, normal level of glowy to like quite an insane level of glowy. I hope that it's helpful. I'm hoping to make at least 1 or 2 YouTube videos a week this year, so I'm always open to new video ideas because I just want to make what people want to see from me. I should have ended the video like a minute ago, don't really know what to say now, but let me know.